Hello and welcome to another edition of the program Total Woman on AD4 TV Radio. Women have been involved in different trade and professions since time immemorial. For journalism, the role of women cannot be washed away. Although before the Beijing Declaration, women were given limited access and restricted to operate as editors, reporters, sports analysts, and journalists. While many women reporters in the 18th and early 19th centuries were restricted to social or society reporting and deployed to cover food or fashion, there were some who reported on subjects that were considered the territory of male reporters. Women have risen through the ranks, from being reporters to top management positions in both the print and broadcast industry. Despite these challenges, women have made steady progress in number and contribution to the growth of the profession. And among the early pioneers in Nigeria are Adora Lili Ulasi, Ronke Ajayi, Ajia Bilkisu, Tosin Dokpesi, just to mention a few. So, to celebrate and talk on the impact of female journalists on societal growth in Nigeria, we have a seasoned journalist who has contributed significantly to the improvement and development of journalism in Nigeria, especially in the area of health journalism. She's a media consultant to the United Nations Women. She has worked for decades in the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, where she rose to the position of Head of Health and Gender Desk before her retirement. She currently heads the International Society of Media in Public Health, and a name and a face that we all grew up knowing, admiring, and wanting to be like. It's my pleasure today to host you, Moji Makojola, MFR on Total Woman.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you so much, Ma, for coming.
It's my pleasure.
So, many know you, but they don't know your story. So tell us, how was it like? The beginning. Why journalism? Why where you are today?
Yes. Well, why journalism? I think I just grew up as a rebel. You know, I've always wanted to do things that other people are not doing. And I was encouraged by a father who believed that what a man can do, women do it better. And encouraged by people whose shoulders I leaned on, Staten, late Senator Adamu Augi, who actually, I would say, discovered me and said to me and gave me all the encouragement that I needed. And actually said to me, listen, after school, after secondary school, just come in. You can do all other studies, but let's start with you on this job. You are a natural. So today I look back and I say thank you, even in their graves, my father, my mother especially, who supported me, and Senator Adamu Augi, Mr. Tony Alabi of radio, and a whole lot of people, really. But most interestingly, Theresa Boyer.
Wow.
Yeah. We lived in Zaria, and she had a school, but she had a column. Those days in New Nigeria, and I used, my father would ask me, have you read Auntie Theresa Boyer? We called her Auntie Theresa Boyer. And I said, no, I haven't. So he said, okay, every week I'll buy you a copy of her column. And I read it, and, it made a big impact in my life. And I just wanted to write. I started off officially on radio. And then my father thought it was wise to take us back home in Kwara, where I come from. And Kwara State was going to open a TV station, Kwara TV. So I was invited to come on. So I became the first face on Quara TV. And NTA came, and I became NTA. NTA became me, and through it went to school, went back to school, did all that you needed to do to advance, and that's it.
Wow.
That's
So
it.
you started as early as, how old were you then?
I wasn't 20.
Wow.
I wasn't 20 when I started. I started right after my school certificate, and Senator Adamu Augie heard my voice and prompted me on that I was a natural, and said, you must come. And that was RKTV then. I didn't start with RKTV, but it was RKTV. It was through him that I got discovered, and he would encourage me. He would, he was friend to my uncle, late uncle, and he would always say to me, Moji, you would go places, and I mean, what else? I loved reading, so I could discuss any issues with them, as old as they were with me. I would discuss politics with them. I would discuss feminism with them at that age. And it's like, listen, journalism is made for you. My father wanted and thought I would be the best lawyer, but I was fascinated by journalism, what we can do with journalism, the trend that you can change, the agenda you can set. And for me, that was powerful. And of course, people say the pen is mightier than the sword, but my microphone became mightier than the sword.
But I'm sure you faced certain challenges.
Oh, you bet.
And we really want to know.
Yeah, the challenges, of course, was that as a woman, I didn't want to cover fashion or women. I wanted to go to what the men would do. And the thing is that at that time, we didn't have a lot of people. I started from programs, but I was not fascinated by programs. I was fascinated by news. I wanted to do news. Eventually, I got posted to the news department. It was lonely at first because you didn't have many women in the newsroom. So I became a man. I would do things like they would do just for, to fall in and be accepted, to cover other beats outside women and children.
Where were those things? Probably staying late than anyone?
Yeah, I mean, we stayed late, we covered issues. I mean, sometimes they would throw things at me that they thought I couldn't do, But thank God for those exposure. Those days, you didn't have specialized desks. They evolved after a while. So you cover everything. I covered politics, was sent to the judiciary. They just send you all and about. And for me, it was just experience gathering. And I think your person, I'm saying this with every humility, I'm a friendly person. So it was easy to get along with the men. Well, I did the odd things, like bring food. I did that to court their friendship.
Yeah.
I went out with them. I kept their secrets. You know what I'm talking about. But it was fun, and so we became. I think one good thing about the newsroom is you don't have a choice but to become family, because you spend so much time in the newsroom writing your story, editing, and of course, at that time, you were not just a reporter, you also was, I also anchored and presented programs outside newscasting. So it wasn't easy. But again, the greatest obstacle, and I'm sure that if any of my colleagues are watching, they would, they would nod to what I'm saying. My greatest obstacle were another men. Wow. Yeah. I had a difficult female boss who never saw anything good in what I did. And some of these men were the ones who encouraged me on. Moji, you're good. Just go on. Don't be distracted. And I had a push by one of the managers I worked with. Actually, two of them. There's one, Akindele, I still remember his name, and late Hayasani. These are people who have made, when I'm trying to do a book on my life, and they're going to have, I'm going to be dedicating some of my life's experience to them. And these men encouraged me and said to me, look, you are as good as any of the men, in fact, better. So, yeah, there were challenges of womanhood, I couldn't, there was a time I was pregnant and I needed to cover an event, and I said I was so sick, and my boss said to me, pregnancy is not a disease, go ahead and get this job done. So I was there, trying to be human and also be a woman. So that in itself is a challenge, because mixing both together, because in journalism, they say there are no men, there are no women, but of course gentlemen of the press, so to speak. But those are contestable things. So you work 24/7, as it were. But I would say that taking those thorny steps prepared me for what was coming eventually. So I don't call them challenges. I just call them grow up experiences, growing up experiences, and that helped me. So I now became a man like them. And if you say I should work 24 hours,
you were ready to do that.
Yes, especially at elections,
Wow.
We're there together. If we go to the field, we're there with them. Sometimes just me, so I became anti-press, then graduated into sister press at some point.
And now Mama Press.
Mama Press. And I contested elections as NUJ. I just needed to break that ceiling. I was convinced I could do it, but I had home support. Then, and again, as a woman, I think I'm just blessed, because eventually when I decided I was going to be married, get married and start having kids, I married a friend who understood what my job was all about. So he was my number one supporter, and did critiques on me. What happened to you today? Are you sure about that sentence? That kind of a thing. So I think I was blessed with the fact that I didn't get disappointed or distracted with vying into what at that time was predominantly male platform, but that I got home support, and I'm just...
So, talking about home support, was that one of the ways you were able to overcome some of these challenges you faced?
Bet, yes.
And I'm sure there were other ways you had to, strategies or ways you had to devise, because a lot of women are actually going through this.
Yes, it's something that women will go through all the time, Even women who have, if you ask women that have, even been in up there, in space and all that, they will give you, I'm sure we have similar experiences, but the fact that we said, look, this is one hurdle I'm going to cross. I said, self-determination starts from you. What you want to achieve, what you want to do with your life starts from you. So that's the number one strength you need. Number two strength is to be knowledgeable on what you're doing. I read every book. I could discuss anything with the men, so they didn't see me as that woman that was being pushed or being helped by anybody. They saw me as an equal. So that's where we started. And that's what we need to equip ourselves with. If you must be a professional, then you must be a good professional.
But you respect that, since a woman knows the same problem of being there, you respect that the actions or reactions might be different.
Yeah, and that's what when I look back now, I begin to wonder, why would a woman be an obstacle? They say pull her down, but I don't even believe in that principle. For all that she did at that time was actually making me stronger. and it turned out to who I am today.
I'll take a short break. When I come back, we'll look at other areas and also how you can help other women, you know, with the strategies you use to overcome and get rose to the top.
Yes,
all right. I'll take a short break. I'll be right back. It's the Total Woman on AD4 TV Radio. Please don't go anywhere.
There's a wind of change blowing over Nigeria, and it's coming from the Tertiary Education Trust Fund. If you want to find out how TED Fund is bringing the Nigerian government, industry, and the academia together to drive a new knowledge economy, tune in to this station every Wednesday at 8 p.m. for TED Fund, The Paradigm Shift. It's informative, it's innovative, and it's exciting. TED Fund, The Paradigm Shift, proudly produced by AD4 TV Radio.
All right, you're welcome back. Wow, it's still AD4 TV Radio, and we've been learning. I call it a learning school because there's so much to share. My guest, Mujima Konjola, you all know her. And I'm so excited that she's been able to share some of the obstacles and challenges she faced and how it made her to develop herself. Thank you so much for joining us.
Welcome.
Now, as an household name on TV, what were your goals? What were your major goals, you know, in life?
My major goals were to impact positively on people's lives. And I just believe that the media has immense power. How much of it we use is another discussion, another conversation. But I saw myself as a change agent from the very beginning. And I had always wanted to work on, you know, on changing mindset, giving people hope, and using my life from that start to where you can get, and encouraging people. I want to be an encourager. I want to be so many things, but putting it all together, I want to be I want to be that springboard that gives you hope for life. Not just life, but quality life. And it's achievable. And I think that's what journalism, you know, portends. A lot of times people, you know, they see the negativity. Oh, you can't tell them a secret. Oh, you know, but I believe that I synergize media and development. You can't, I mean, they go together. The kind of things that we churn out as journalists are things that make, if I go now and speak about this wonderful woman, the presenter, the anchor of Total Woman, this is what she's been able to do, the number of people you've been able to bring on set, and how I'm sure they have impacted on young women, for example, on even men. So I see the power of media in what we can do, although I must say that some of it, we don't use it appropriately, and you know, some of us are very negative about the things that we do. But overall, information, they say, is power. And who best to give information than the journalist?
Okay, but that brings me to the question, do you think women have really done a lot in framing society, especially women in journalism?
Yes, I think we have done so very much. In fact, we've done so well. Areas that before you won't find women, even in the fashion that we were stereotyped to do, even in homemaking that we were stereotyped to do, you know, those cooking, they have impacted on our women. So much so that you know how to time manage what you're doing. But coming to development as it is, tell me a bit where a woman has not succeeded. If you make her a manager, she becomes the best manager there is. If you make her a news anchor, she, you know, because she knows that expectations from her are so high, she has no choice but to give her best, and this is what they do. We give our best, and our best, usually, we are not even fair on ourselves. Because our best for us is not good enough.
Yes, we always want to sometimes equate ourselves with the male counterpart.
Yeah, and you want to overdo it.
Exactly.
Yeah, so as to be accepted. So I think I salute the courage of Nigerian women journalists. I think together we have done so very well. We have been able to break that ceiling. We are in every bit, defense, law, name it, justice, name it, whatever bit that men used to think that they're the best at. We've been to the war front. So what else? We've been to the war front. What else?
In fact,
we've done so much.
Women
and in
cover
doing
war
that,
stories more than men. And why do you think that our stories, you know, and the beats women cover, they seem to be more popular, or there is an angle to the way they cover the stories that endears them to people's hearts?
because we are human. You look at the pros and cons of any copy, any story you're covering. You look at the human angle, how you can weave in the human angle, because that's what is innate in us. A young girl, a small baby of 9 months, already instinctively is very maternal. She wants to carry the baby. She's careful about how she carries the baby. And you begin to wonder, is that innate compassion of humanity that God has, endowed us with, that, helps even our chosen profession? I would say that the Nigerian female journalist, we've seen humanity in her story. So you see that story, it applies to you, it applies to me, and you see some adjustments that you can make. And because you are a homemaker, you weave all that together, and you find out that, well, female Nigerian journalists are doing well. And at a point in my life, I was president of the Nigeria Association of Women Journalists. And we thought that we should, what I drove during that time was to have capacity. We keep retraining ourselves, because we transit. You transit from the adolescent, you transit into being a wife if you want to be married, then you transit into being a mother, and then you transit into being a grandmother like I am now, and there's several other things alongside your career. So for us, there are several phases, but there's a continuum in what we do and expectations in what we do. And I think all this has helped Nigerian female journalists that I salute, and some who are older than us, who showed us the way, some who have been consistent in pushing ahead. And so for us, media becomes an addictive thing.
Yes.
It's like you. I mean, I'm
There's
sure
no
you wouldn't do any
life
other thing.
and no other thing
That's our life.
And so salute to all the media women, we are doing great. But I know that there are some that really made the sacrifice for us to be here today.
That's the word. A lot of us made sacrifices, and for men, it's just a given, You don't have to spend so much time. But for us women, it's a whole lot of it. I mean, here we are, sitting here on set, and I'm sure that you are here thinking of home, what you will do next. We're able to multitask. For men, is do your job. There's a hot meal waiting.
And you're coming home.
You're coming home. But for you, is to juggle all this together.
Yes.
But I think what is important for us is that we take whatever we do very seriously. And I'm not saying that men don't take things seriously, but I think because we're judged as women.
Weaker sex? Weaker vessel?
Weaker vessel. So I don't even want to pronounce the word. Better vessel, I would say, or stronger vessel. But seriously, because we are just seen as that woman, so we need to double up on what we are doing, and we do it well. But oftentimes we're not even fair to ourselves. We don't celebrate ourselves. So I think, and first I'd just like to thank you for wanting to share a bit of my world with me. And I think we should do this more. I think more women should speak out so that we can be an encourager to those behind us. That, listen, being a woman is no barrier. In fact, it pushes me to do better.
Yes, let's use this opportunity now to talk about some of the women that worked in your time, some that made the changes. They may be here, some may not be known. So maybe you could recall some of those names.
I'd like to think of Aunty Buki Ajayi. Yeah. Yes, Aunty Buki Ajayi was such an encourager. You know, she would call me from Lagos when I was in Kwara, and just encourage me. Oh, Moji, you're the best. Oh, I thank God we can, we can actually give you the baton to continue. Oh, how do you, and, she would say things to me that I just, you really, I need to check. Because I wasn't this big, in terms of size. I was like 14, size 14, and here's somebody that is old enough to be a mom, and coming, she takes her time to watch me. She took her time, bless her soul, all the while she was doing this mentoring, I never met her. I never saw her one-on-one. In fact, I met her only a few times later. But, technology helped that I could speak to her and all that. And I think we should be doing much more. Yeah, we should encourage ourselves. For me, I had more male mentors than female. Why? Because at that time, the profession was really for men and women who dare. But over the years, people who have out of their ways, women who would, just say, oh, Moji, I love what you're wearing. Please, can you have this wrapper? Do another one and wear it again. Or people who would say to me, oh, Moji, I love what you're doing. Can you come to my office and let's discuss on things that we can do together? But I think women should do it more because men encourage themselves. But I'm not sure we're there yet.
Okay, so let's look at the strategies that we can put in place to begin to encourage more women and get women to be the supporters and the mentors.
Women must support women. I think it's important. I have a lot of mentees across, and I always share my experience with them, particularly those in the media. And what you're doing, for example, it's so wonderful. I want to thank you for this platform. We need to keep it up. And more than anything else, we have other platforms. I always say NAWOJ has a lot to do in encouraging these women. You are lucky today you have, the world on your palm. Yeah. You could read. I needed to subscribe to all the medical journals to be able to report from the point of knowledge. You must be good on your job. It's a total package. You don't join the Joneses, for crying out loud. You read because you must be able to speak, you must be able to write, you must be able to analyze. You are just one soul wrapped in anything. You are a professor of professors. Exactly. You are a doctor of doctors, and whatever the jargon these professionals bring on, you must be able to break it down to be able to communicate and disseminate information. So I want to say that you must train yourself beyond the university degrees, beyond other professional things. You must also love what you're doing. You must be passionate about what you're doing.
And that same passion is oozing from you, and I can feel it.
Thank you.
Thank you. So what next?
Well, for now, I'm working in health advocacy and communication. As I founded the International Society of Media and Public Health, ISMPH, and what we do is we're into advocating, we're into capacity building for journalists who are ready, who are very interested in health reports. Okay. But more than that, we do a lot of developmental reports. I'm still doing media. I don't know how to do any other thing. But what I'm doing is changing lives. And before I leave, there's something, I adopt villages or communities, and there's one I'd like to take you anytime you're ready. It's about 50 minutes away from Abuja. It's called Rogwa. I went to Rogwa with some journalists that were training on health financing to see how people are coping. And we got there and found this hospital that was older than my mother, the dispensary where people, and we found out that between January and June that we visited, more than 30 women have died as a result of pregnancy complications. So what we did was we made a lot of noise. Today, I feel so happy that community has a hospital.
Wow.
They have so for me, those are the things that we can do, and we can do much more than that. I mean, I have kids that God has been blessed me with to train. They're not my biological children, but I see them all doing so well today, and for me, that's the fulfillment. But more than anything else, that I have God. He has been my strength.
Amazing. And after so many years, you still see her strong in voice, in beauty.
Thank you.
And now we know the secrets: a good heart and a God.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being my guest. I've had a lovely time talking to you, and I've learned a lot. Most importantly, encouraging every woman to see that you be the support to the next
woman. Holding each other's hands, actually. Yes. So I stretch mine in spite of COVID.
Yeah. Thank you. So to wrap up today's episode, we must always remember that the history of modern Nigerian journalists will not be complete without a mention of the roles and contribution of women who have strived and shone like stars to build and nurture this profession. And I'm so glad that I am hosting one of them. Will you be the next? Think about it. Thank you very much. My name is Mute Olori. I'll be with you again next week. Bye-bye.